Most animals on Earth are easy to recognize. Their shapes, behaviors, and habitats follow patterns we've learned to expect. But some don't. Scattered across the planet are species that seem to defy those patterns. Animals whose appearance feels unfamiliar, exaggerated, or even impossible. Creatures that look less like the result of evolution and more like something imagined. And yet they're real. Earth is home to millions of species, many still poorly understood, and among them are animals so unusual that even experienced researchers have had to look twice. Some live in extreme environments, others evolved in isolation, and a few appear so strange that they challenge our idea of what an animal is supposed to look like. Today, we're counting down 15 unreal animals that actually live on Earth. A look at nature's most unexpected designs and the remarkable ways they've survived. Number 15. Siphonophore. At first glance, a siphonophore looks like a single massive sea creature drifting through open water. Long, transparent, and almost impossible to judge in scale. But it isn't one animal at all. A siphonophore is actually a floating colony, made up of thousands of tiny, genetically identical individuals called zooids. Each zooid is highly specialized. Some handle movement, others focus on feeding, others reproduce, and none of them can survive on their own. Together, they function as a single organism, moving, hunting, and reacting in perfect coordination. Some species grow longer than a blue whale, making siphonophores among the longest living creatures on Earth. What's most unsettling is that there's no central brain controlling the colony. Communication happens through chemical and nerve signals shared across the entire structure. It's less like an animal, and more like a living system. Number 14. Immortal Jellyfish. Most animals follow a simple path through life: birth, growth, aging, and death. The immortal jellyfish breaks that pattern. When faced with injury, starvation, or environmental stress, this tiny jellyfish can reverse its own biological clock. Instead of dying, it collapses into a juvenile form and begins its life cycle again. This process, known as transdifferentiation, allows its cells to transform into entirely new cell types. In theory, the jellyfish can repeat this cycle indefinitely. It isn't truly indestructible, it can still be eaten or destroyed, but it is the only known animal capable of repeatedly resetting itself. To scientists, it offers rare insight into aging and regeneration. To everyone else, it feels like a quiet loophole in the rules of life. Number 13. Saber-toothed deer. Deer are typically known for their antlers, branching structures used to compete for mates and establish dominance. The saber-toothed deer took a different path. Instead of antlers, this small deer species has long, curved fangs that extend downward from its upper jaw, giving it a surprisingly intimidating appearance. At first glance, it looks more like a predator than a plant eater. Despite that appearance, the saber-toothed deer is entirely herbivorous. The fangs are used during mating season, when males display them to intimidate rivals or engage in brief, controlled fights. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't always choose the most familiar solution. Sometimes it replaces elegance with intimidation. Even in animals we think we understand. Number 12. Axolotl. At first glance, the axolotl looks almost unreal, a pale, aquatic salamander with frilly external gills and what appears to be a permanent, calm expression. But this animal is far more unusual than it looks. Unlike most amphibians, the axolotl never undergoes full metamorphosis. Instead of transitioning from a juvenile into a land-dwelling adult, it remains in its larval form for its entire life, a rare condition known as neoteny. Despite this, it reaches maturity and is able to reproduce without ever leaving the water. What truly sets the axolotl apart is its extraordinary ability to regenerate. It can regrow entire limbs, portions of its spinal cord, sections of its heart, and even parts of its brain, all without scarring. This remarkable trait has made it a major focus of scientific research, particularly in regenerative medicine. Once abundant in the lakes surrounding Mexico City, wild axolotls are now critically endangered due to pollution and habitat loss. Today they are more common in laboratories and aquariums than in their natural environment, a strange fate for one of nature's most remarkable survivors. Number 11. Ocean sunfish. The ocean sunfish looks like an animal that never quite finished forming. With its flattened body, absence of a true tail, and enormous size, it challenges nearly every expectation of what a fish is supposed to look like. Fully grown individuals can reach more than 10 feet in height and weigh over 2,000 pounds. Despite its massive size, the ocean sunfish feeds primarily on jellyfish, prey with very little nutritional value. To compensate, it consumes large quantities and spends much of its time near the ocean's surface, basking in sunlight to warm its body after deep dives. Its unusual shape is the result of extreme specialization. Rather than evolving for speed or agility, the ocean sunfish developed a body built for efficiency and endurance. And while it appears awkward, it has successfully inhabited oceans around the world. It's a striking example of how evolution favors survival over symmetry. Number 10. Blue dragon, Glaucus atlanticus. The blue dragon looks more like a work of art than a living animal. This small sea slug floats upside down at the ocean's surface, using a pocket of swallowed air to stay buoyant. Its vivid blue and silver coloration isn't just visually striking, it serves as camouflage, blending with both the sky above and the water below. But the blue dragon's most remarkable trait is its diet. It feeds on some of the ocean's most venomous creatures, including the Portuguese man-o'-war. Instead of being harmed by the stings, the blue dragon stores the venomous cells inside its own body, concentrating them into an even more powerful defense. Despite its delicate appearance and small size, this animal delivers a sting that can be more painful than that of its prey. In this case, beauty isn't an accident, it's a warning. Number 9. Pangolin. At first glance, the pangolin looks almost mechanical, a small mammal covered head to tail in overlapping scales, like a creature built for defense rather than comfort. Those scales are made of keratin, the same material found in human fingernails, and they form the only full-body armor of any mammal on Earth. When threatened, a pangolin curls into a tight ball, leaving predators with nothing but hardened scales to deal with. Despite that formidable protection, pangolins are quiet, solitary animals. They feed almost entirely on ants and termites, using a long, sticky tongue that can extend farther than their entire body. With no teeth, they rely completely on this specialized feeding method to survive. Ironically, the very traits that make pangolins unique have also made them vulnerable. They are now among the most trafficked mammals in the world, hunted for their scales and meat. An animal that evolved to survive predators now struggles against a threat it was never designed to face. Number 8. Shoebill Stork. The shoebill stork looks like it belongs to another era, standing over 4 feet tall with a massive shoe-shaped bill and an unblinking stare. It resembles something closer to a dinosaur than a modern bird. Its slow, deliberate movements only add to its imposing presence. Shoebills hunt by standing perfectly still, sometimes for hours, waiting patiently before striking with sudden precision. Their powerful bill allows them to capture and crush fish, frogs, and even small reptiles in a single motion. Despite their intimidating appearance, shoebills are solitary and surprisingly quiet. They live in remote African wetlands, far from human activity. Their prehistoric look isn't a coincidence, it's the result of a hunting strategy that has remained effective for millions of years. Sometimes evolution doesn't need to improve on a design, it simply preserves it. Number 7. Eye. The eye is a lemur, but it doesn't resemble one in any familiar way. With oversized ears, wide, reflective eyes, and an unusually long skeletal middle finger, the eye appears almost alien. For generations, its appearance led to superstition, and in some regions it was feared as a bad omen. That long finger, however, is the key to its survival. The eye taps on tree bark, listening for subtle echoes that reveal insects hidden inside. Once it locates prey, it gnaws through the wood with powerful teeth and extracts the insects with remarkable precision. This form of hunting, known as percussive foraging, is unique among primates. What seems strange or unsettling at first glance is actually a highly specialized adaptation, one that allows the eye to thrive in environments where few others can. Number 6. Pyrosome. At first glance, a pyrosome looks like something artificial, a glowing, hollow tube drifting through the ocean as if it were left behind by a science experiment. But it's alive. A pyrosome is not a single animal, but a massive colony made up of thousands of tiny organisms called zooids. Each zooid filters seawater for food, and together they coordinate their movement by expelling water through the colony's open center. Some pyrosomes grow only a few inches long. Others can stretch over 60 feet, large enough for a human to swim through. What makes them even more unusual is their ability to glow. When disturbed, pyrosomes emit a bright blue-green bioluminescent light, sometimes visible from more than 100 feet away. Scientists still aren't entirely sure why. It may be a defense mechanism or a way to communicate with other colonies. Whatever the reason, encountering one underwater is less like seeing an animal and more like drifting past a living structure. Number 5. Sea sapphires. At certain times of year, parts of the ocean appear to sparkle, as if scattered with floating jewels. The cause isn't light reflecting off the water, it's an animal. Sea sapphires are tiny crustaceans, only a few millimeters long, but their bodies contain microscopic crystal structures that bend light in remarkable ways. Depending on the angle, they can flash brilliant blues and purples, or disappear almost completely. This ability allows them to shift from dazzlingly visible to nearly invisible in an instant. When thousands gather near the surface, the water itself appears to shimmer, earning them the nickname jeweled water among Japanese fishermen. Despite their beauty, sea sapphires remain poorly understood. They live most of their lives hidden in the open ocean, quietly demonstrating that some of nature's most extraordinary designs come in the smallest packages. Number 4. Rock hyrax. The rock hyrax looks like a small, harmless rodent, something you might expect to see darting between rocks and disappearing into crevices. What it's related to, however, tells a very different story. Despite its size and appearance, the rock hyrax's closest living relative is the elephant. This unassuming animal shares surprising traits with its massive cousin, including similar foot structures and internal anatomy. It lives in rocky outcrops across Africa and the Middle East, where it relies on agility, cooperation, and sharp senses rather than size or strength. Rock hyraxes live in social groups, taking turns standing watch for predators. When threatened, they can reveal sharp teeth and emit piercing alarm calls, a reminder that even the most unassuming animals are built to survive. It's one of evolution's strangest family trees, hidden in plain sight. Number 3. Giant isopod. Most people are familiar with pillbugs, those small, armored creatures that curl into a ball when disturbed. Now imagine one living deep in the ocean, the size of a house cat. Giant isopods are found in the cold, dark depths of the sea, sometimes more than a mile below the surface. Down there, they can grow to more than 2 feet long, with a heavy plated shell and segmented legs that make them look like something prehistoric. Scientists call this deep-sea gigantism, and while the exact cause is still debated, the leading explanation is that cold temperatures and limited food favor slower metabolisms and larger bodies. Despite their intimidating appearance, giant isopods aren't aggressive hunters. They're scavengers, patiently roaming the seafloor and waiting for food to drift down from above. And when they finally find a large meal, they can consume so much at once that they become sluggish and barely able to move. An effective survival strategy in an environment where food is never guaranteed. Number 2. Tardigrade. If there were an award for the most resilient animal on Earth, the tardigrade would be difficult to beat. Often called water bears because of their rounded bodies and slow, lumbering movement, tardigrades are microscopic animals found almost everywhere, from deep oceans to mountaintops, from Arctic ice to tropical forests. But what makes them extraordinary isn't where they live. It's what they can survive. When conditions become extreme, freezing temperatures, intense radiation, dehydration, or even the vacuum of space, tardigrades enter a state known as cryptobiosis. They expel nearly all the water from their bodies, retract into a dried, compact form called a ton, and reduce their metabolism to almost zero. In this suspended state, they can survive for years. Some experiments have shown that tardigrades can endure temperatures close to absolute zero, survive being heated above the boiling point of water, withstand radiation levels that would be fatal to most life, and even survive exposure to outer space. Once conditions improve, they simply rehydrate and resume life as if nothing happened. They are not large, they are not fast, and they are nearly invisible to the naked eye. But in terms of durability, few animals on Earth are as unreal as the tardigrade, a microscopic survivor that seems built for worlds far harsher than our own. Number 1. Blobfish. The blobfish has become famous for looking unfortunate. You've probably seen the photos, a pale, drooping face and a body that seems more like gelatin than fish. It's been treated as a joke for years. But here's what most people don't realize. Blobfish don't normally look like that. They live deep underwater, where the pressure is extremely high. In that environment, their soft, jelly-like body is a perfect design. It allows them to float just above the sea floor with very little effort, conserving energy in a place where food can be scarce. The blob look happens only when a blobfish is brought to the surface. Without the crushing deep-sea pressure, its body loses structure and collapses into the shape people recognize from photos. In its natural habitat, it looks far more like a normal fish. Unusual, certainly, but completely functional, which makes it a fitting number 1, an animal that looks unreal, largely because we're seeing it in the wrong world. If there's one thing these animals remind us, it's that nature doesn't always follow the patterns we expect. Sometimes it creates forms that look unfinished, exaggerated, or completely unreal, and then quietly proves that they work. These aren't mistakes or myths. They're the result of millions of years of adaptation, survival, and change, playing out far from human attention. And there are countless more like them, still hidden in oceans, forests, and remote corners of the world. If you enjoy exploring the stranger side of the natural world, Animals Discovery Now is where we take the time to look closer and appreciate just how surprising life on Earth can be. If you found this video interesting, consider subscribing, and we'll continue discovering the animals that make our planet unlike any other. Thanks for watching.